Fast Paradise is your destination for all cinematic things. Today's episode explores Hollywood casting changes with actors who were replaced and no one noticed. The smooth transitions from famous parts in blockbuster movies to adored characters in fan-favorite TV programs will surprise viewers. Prepare for a fascinating voyage into the secret world of actor replacements that flawlessly continued our favorite tales. Prepare to learn Hollywood's best-kept secrets. Family Ties, when it aired, 1982 to 1989. Starring Meredith Baxter, Elise Keaton, Michael Gross, Stephen Keaton, Michael J. Fox, Alice P. Keaton, Brian Bonsall, Andrew Andy Keaton, Tina Yothers, Jennifer Keaton, and Justine Bateman, Mallory Keaton. Michael J. Fox appeared in the cherished comedy Family Ties in the 1980s before establishing himself as a legitimate movie star in Back to the Future. The lively Keaton family, which consists of siblings Alex, Andy, Jennifer, and Mallory, as well as parents Elise and Stephen, was the subject of this comedy written by Gary David Goldberg. Alex's parents, formerly hippies, had strong convictions that contributed to the tension in the show. There is considerable conflict between the three since Alex is a rising Republican. The program provided an engrossing window into the United States' shift from a more liberal 1960s and 1970s to a more conservative 1980s. Fox won the Outstanding Lead Actor Award in the comedy series Emmy 3 times because of his outstanding performance on the show. Throughout Family Ties' 7-season run, the other actors in the program also won some Emmys. Friends, when it aired, 1994 to 2004. Starring David Schwimmer, Ross Geller, Matthew Perry, Chandler Bing, Matt LeBlanc, Joey Tribbiani, Lisa Kudrow, Phoebe Buffay, Courtney Cox, Monica Geller, and Jennifer Aniston, Rachel Green. Even though Friends aired more than 10 years ago, few television programs have ever been as popular as they are. It is a mainstay on Netflix and is shown on other networks. The television series Friends, created by Marta Kaufman and David Crane, chronicles the lives of 6 friends, 2 of whom are siblings, as they navigate job changes, relationship problems, and other challenges in New York City during the 1990s. The theme music from the sitcom I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts is ingrained in many television viewers' minds and continues to be a beloved match between Ross and Rachel. Throughout its existence, Friends was nominated for 62 Primetime Emmy Awards. Television watching records throughout the 2000s were broken by its conclusion. Furthermore, the entire American population has seen one of the top 5 finales. With almost 230 episodes, the program ran for 10 seasons. Nowadays, it seems as if Friends never left, and even though it sometimes seems a little old, fans still can't get enough of it. Three's Company, when it aired, 1977 to 1984. Starring Ann Wedgeworth, Lana Shields, Don Knotts, Ralph Furley, Audra Lindley, Helen Roper, Norman Fell, Stanley Roper, Richard Klein, Larry Dallas, Priscilla Barnes, Terry Alden, Jenna Lee Harrison, Cindy Snow, Suzanne Summers, Chrissy Snow, Joyce DeWitt, Janet Wood, and John Ritter, Jack Tripper. Three's Company is comparable to Friends of the 1970s. While married couple Helen and Stanley Roper managed the flat, the show focused on housemates Jack, Chrissy, and Janet in Santa Monica. There were many characters on Three's Company, and many of them came out and went through the show's almost 10 years on the air. The show's catchy theme song, Come and Knock on Our Door by Julia Rinker and Ray Charles, is almost as well known as the program. While performers like Priscilla Barnes and Don Knotts joined the cast to complete it, Audra Lindley, Norman Fell, and Janna Lee Harrison departed the play to pursue other chances. Because of its immense popularity, the sitcom gave rise to other spin-offs, including Robin's Nest, George and Mildred, Three's a Crowd, and The Ropers. The Golden Girls, when it aired, 1985 to 1992, starring Estelle Getty, Sophia Petrillo, Beatrice Arthur, Dorothy Zabornak, Rue McClanahan, Blanche Devereaux, and Betty White, Rose Nyland. With her tough-as-nails demeanor and adorable appearance, Betty White is such a pop-cultural figure today, but it all began with The Golden Girls. With a shorter runtime than 10 years, this comedy from the 1980s was not as popular as some of the other programs on this list. All the same, it ran for a very short time, with 7 seasons and 180 episodes total. Susan Harris wrote the screenplay for The Golden Girls, a Touchstone Television and Whit Thomas Harris Productions production that honored the lives of 4 ladies living in their golden years in the Miami region. The humor, charm, and unique personalities of Sophia, Blanche, Rose, and Dorothy made each of the 4 ladies adored. Among the most popular television programs ever is The Golden Girls. Only 2 other sitcoms have the same distinction as each star's Emmy Award, which was almost unheard of then. The show also won 3 Golden Globes for Best Television Series. Furthermore, The Golden Girls is the recipient of 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Comedy Series. Seinfeld, when it aired, 1989 to 1998. Starring Jason Alexander, George Costanza, Michael Richards, Cosmo Kramer, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Elaine Bennis, and Jerry Seinfeld. Seinfeld is indeed a show about nothing, as people sometimes claim. Despite having no clear goals, it's one of the 90s most popular sitcoms. Although the show focused on New Yorkers, it differed from its NBC twin Friends in that regard. Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David wrote it, and it had a lot of that sardonic humor you would expect from both celebrities, reflecting Seinfeld's actual career as a stand-up comedian. However, Seinfeld's ensemble of co-stars was what made it unforgettable. The main star was often overshadowed by characters like Kramer, Elaine, and George. Before Jerry Seinfeld chose to terminate the program in 1998, after 9 seasons and 180 episodes, the public adored Seinfeld. The sitcom is a 10-time Emmy winner and often ranks highly on lists of the best shows from Entertainment Weekly, TV Guide, Rolling Stone, and the Writers Guild of America. Roseanne, when it aired, 1988 to 1997, starring Lacey Gorison and Sarah Chalke, Becky Connor-Healy, Natalie West, Crystal Anderson Connor, Sarah Gilbert, Darling Connor-Healy, Michael Fishman, DJ Connor, Laura Metcalf, Jackie Harris, John Goodman, Dan Connor, and Roseanne Barr, Roseanne Connor. Roseanne, a comedy that centered on the Midwestern family dynamic in the late 1980s and early 1990s, was the show that gave Roseanne Barr international recognition and thrust her into the limelight. With mother Roseanne, father Dan, and children DJ, Darlene, Becky, and Jerry Garcia, the sitcom set in Illinois focused on the problems of raising a family and paying expenses. Nonetheless, the show's honest, blue-collar tales and overweight stars made it stand out. Roseanne was often the highest-rated show when it aired, which explains why it has always been at the top of the list of the greatest sitcoms. With 9 seasons and more than 220 episodes, that's a really impressive accomplishment for the program. Cheers, when it aired, 1982 to 1993, starring Kirstie Alley, Rebecca Howe, Bebe Neuwirth, Lilith Sternin, Woody Harrelson, Woody Boyd, Kelsey Grammer, Fraser Crane, John Ratzenberg, Cliff Clavin, George Wendt, Norm Peterson, Rhea Perlman, Carla Tortelli, Nicholas Colasanto, Coach Ernie Pantuso, Shelley Long, Diane Chambers, and Ted Danson, Sam Malone. Naturally, the topic of Cheers usually comes up when people talk about the greatest comedy ever. There are many things to adore about this program set in a Boston bar, including the immediately memorable theme song, Gary Portnoy's Where Everybody Knows Your Name, and the incredibly talented cast. Many performers, including Woody Harrelson, Rhea Perlman, and Kirstie Alley, were either born out of the sitcom or had their careers significantly boosted by it. Before receiving his spin-off series, Kelsey Grammer debuted as Fraser Crane on Cheers. There were about 300 episodes of the program throughout its 11-year run. While characters come and go, the program captures the charm that captivated the globe. From a comedy that almost ended its existence before its first season concluded, it has come a long way. However, Cheers bounced back brilliantly with 117 nominations and 28 wins during its Primetime Emmy Awards tenure. Everybody Loves Raymond, when it aired, 1996 to 2005, starring Sawyer Sweeten, Jeffrey Barone, Madeline Sweeten, Alexandra Alley Barone, Monica Horan, Amy McDougall Barone, Peter Boyle, Francis Frank Barone, Doris Roberts, Marie Barone, Brad Garrett, Robert Barone, Patricia Heaton, Deborah Barone, and Ray Romano, Raymond Ray Barone. In Everybody Loves Raymond, Ray Romano played a self-portrait similar to Roseanne. Ray Barone, along with Deborah and their children, Jeffrey, Michael, and Allie, reside on Long Island in the program. In addition, Barone's brother Robert and parents Frank and Marie live on the same block. Barone's parents often meddle excessively, which is a problem for Barone as a sports writer and with Deborah. With almost 200 episodes over 9 seasons, the program aired. Even now, when you turn on the TV, it's still often shown in syndication, making you feel like you're back in the early 2000s. Such is the popularity of Everybody Loves Raymond that adaptations have been made in Poland, Czechoslovakia, India, the UK, Israel, Egypt, and Denmark. The Honeymooners, when it aired, 1955 to 1956, starring Joyce Randolph, Thelma Trixie Norton, Art Carney, Edwin Lillywhite Ed Norton, Audrey Meadows, Alice Cramden, Jackie Gleason, Ralph Cramden. Since Jackie Gleason created The Honeymooners, which paved the path for several sitcoms' success in the following decades, he would also serve as the show's star. Gleason developed the concept after hosting Cavalcade of Stars, in which he introduced several sketches that would eventually become The Honeymooners. He collaborated with a big team of writers and even acted as the composer for the theme song, You're My Greatest Love. The comedy alternates between the Nortons, Ed and Trixie, and the Cramdens, Ralph and Alice, two recently wed couples. Both couples in Brooklyn, New York, rely on their full-time occupations to support themselves. At the Cramdens' residence, they also spend much time in the kitchen, thinking about life, work, and love. Not joking, The Honeymooners ran for only 1 year, but Gleason would go on to create additional shows with performers for over 20 more years. With only 39 episodes, the program ran on television for a relatively short time before becoming very popular in Sweden, Norway, Poland, Canada, and of course, the US. I Love Lucy, when it aired, 1951 to 1957, starring Desi Arnaz, Ricky Ricardo, Vivian Vance, Ethel Mertz, William Frawley, Fred Mertz, Keith Thibodeau, Ricky Ricardo Jr., and Lucille Ball, Lucy Ricardo. I Love Lucy episodes are something everyone has seen at least once in their lifetime. This comedy has been airing for 60 years, and it doesn't seem to care how old you are. It debuted in the 1950s. The idea is well known to all. Lucy often finds herself in situations where she has to defend herself from her husband, Ricky. Ethel, Lucy's closest friend, is her co-conspirator, and Fred, her spouse, shows up often. It is undoubtedly the best comedy of all time, according to People magazine and ABC News, and they're not the only ones. When a Christmas program was shown in 2013, for example, it drew in over 8 million viewers who watched it with nostalgia for the days before color television. Most programs on television nowadays could only aim to surpass this record. Taxi, when it aired, 1978 to 1983. Starring Jeff Conaway, Bobby Wheeler, Christopher Lloyd, Reverend Jim Iggy Ignatowski, Andy Kaufman, Latka Gravis, Tony Danza, Anthony Mark Tony Banta, Mary Lou Henner, Elaine O'Connor Nardo, Danny DeVito, Louis De Palma, and Judd Hirsch, Alex Reiger. Danny DeVito started his career with the cast of Taxi, a 1970s comedy based in Manhattan before he was well known. Louis, his fictional character, worked with Alex and other staff at the Sunshine Cab Company. The program's name implies it was centered on each of these people and their experiences operating a taxi. Some took the work to make ends meet until they could find better employment, but Alex takes driving and transporting people seriously. Taxi, which ran for 5 seasons and 114 episodes, won 17 additional awards in addition to the Outstanding Comedy Series Emmy. It was obvious that the group of writers that developed the program, which included James L. Brooke, David Davis, Ed Weinberger, and Stan Daniels, had hit upon a successful comedy formula. Tom Selleck, Eileen Brennan, and Tom Hanks are the other performers with tiny parts. The Andy Griffith Show, when it aired, 1960 to 1968, starring Frances Bavier, Aunt Bee, Don Knotts, Barney Fife, Ron Howard, Opie Taylor, and Andy Griffith, Andy Taylor. Sheldon Leonard, not Andrew Griffith, wrote the script for The Andy Griffith Show, which debuted on the verge of color television. Griffith portrays Sheriff Andy Taylor, who is assisted by Barney Fife in the comedy set in a small North Carolina town. Griffith's colleague, Deputy Fife, could or might not be related to him. There could be a continuity mistake since that information was stated at the beginning, but never again. The other ensemble members are his housekeeper, Aunt Bee Taylor, and son Opie. Of the 249 episodes shown across 8 seasons, 90 were in full color, the remainder in black and white, as was the custom at the time. With respectable viewership, it concluded with an 8th season named The Best TV Show. Bewitched, when it aired, 1964 to 1972, starring Dick Sargent and Dick York, Darren Stevens, and Elizabeth Montgomery, Samantha Stevens. Elizabeth Montgomery plays witch Samantha Stevens in Saul Sack's comedy. The reason their marriage works so well is because her husband, Darren Stevens, played by Dick Sargent and Dick York, isn't. Samantha constantly caves in, even if she tries to seem normal and refrain from using her witchcraft to get things done around the home and in other aspects of her life. Usually, her witch family's influence is to blame. The program was the most well-liked of its sort at the time because audiences ate up its premise. Who could forget Samantha's renowned nose twitch, which enables her to wield her magic? Remember, this was before supernatural programming became commonplace. We will always remember it. The Dick Van Dyke Show, when it aired, 1961 to 1966, starring Rose Marie, Sally Rogers, Mary Tyler Moore, Laura Petrie, and Dick Van Dyke, Robert Simpson, Rob Petrie. The Dick Van Dyke Show focused on Van Dyke's character, Rob Petrie, and his struggles as a television comedy writer. The all-star ensemble included well-known figures like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore. The 158-episode series concluded in 1969 after just 5 seasons of the program. The majority of the original cast came back for a reunion spectacular called Dick Van Dyke and the Other Woman. The comedy was inspired by Head of the Family, a 1960s-era program with a similar concept. Unfortunately, however, the Dick Van Dyke Show took its place since it wasn't as popular. More than a dozen Emmy Awards were won by the Dick Van Dyke Show thanks to the cast and redesign. The Big Bang Theory, when it aired, 2007 to present, starring Kunal Nair, Rajesh Kuthrapali, Simon Helberg, Howard Wolowitz, Kaylee Cuoco, Penny, Jim Parsons, Sheldon Cooper, and Johnny Galecki, Leonard Hofstadter. What number of currently airing television programs are considered among the greatest of all time? One of them is, in fact, The Big Bang Theory. Initially conceived as a type of secretive geek comedy, it swiftly grew to become one of CBS's most popular programs. Endearingly socially inept, the universe of Pasadena scientists Sheldon and Leonard was developed by head writers Stephen Milaro, Bill Prady, and Chuck Lorre. The complete antithesis of the two guys is actress Penny, their strange housemate. In due course, she also pursues science and finds employment as a pharmaceutical salesperson. MASH, when it aired, 1972 to 1983, starring McLean Stevenson, Henry Blake, Wayne Rogers, Trapper John McIntyre, George Morgan, Father Mulcahy, Jamie Farr, Max Klinger, Loretta Swit, Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, and Alan Alda, Hawkeye Pierce. The novel MASH, a novel about 3 army doctors, and the 1970 film MASH inspired MASH. The same basic idea underpinned all 3. Amid the Korean War, many medical professionals from the 4077th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital were trying to save lives in the Uijeongbu, South Korea region. Due to its constant high ratings on CBS, many consider the program the greatest success. It had 256 episodes over 11 seasons. When a program lasts more than 10 years, the cast changes, yet MASH managed to maintain its popularity among viewers. The longest episode of MASH was the series finale, Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, which ran for over 3 hours. Nevertheless, a record-breaking 125 million viewers watched the show's conclusion. The Office, when it aired, 2005 to 2013, starring Craig Robinson, Darryl Philbin, B.J. Novak, Ryan Howard, Mindy Kaling, Kelly Kapoor, Phyllis Smith, Phyllis Lapin Vance, Leslie David Baker, Stanley Hudson, Jenna Fisher, Pam Beasley, John Krasinski, Jim Halpert, Rainn Wilson, Dwight Schrute, and Steve Carroll, Michael Scott. There have been adaptations of The Office in Finland, Sweden, Israel, Chile, Canada, Germany, and France due to the show's immense popularity. The American adaptation of The Office is directly derived from the British original, which served as its model. The American television program centers on the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company's Scranton, Pennsylvania division, which is run by Michael Scott, played by Steve Carell. The relationship between Jim and Pam is another compelling feature. It has a lot of drama, many ups and downs, and a happy ending when they eventually end up together.
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon